Some solutions for home heating, cooling, and electricity use the natural resources around us, like the earth and sun. Geothermal and solar power systems may seem pricey up front, but can offer amazing advantages and savings in the long term. Meet Dave, who has both systems installed in his house in New Jersey.
Paying utility bills is almost like paying rent on an apartment. You never get that money back. You don't build any equity, and you don't control what that payment is. When I decided to invest in the system, I guess it first depended on whether or not I could get a second mortgage loan. And when I did, the difference being that I'm paying the mortgage loan off. I control those payments, and it builds equity in my house.
We bring a specific environment, a controlled environment, into a building to keep people comfortable, healthy, and to keep the house clean. While we're doing it, we're actually limiting our importation of oil, burning of coal and natural gas, so that we limit the CO2 and carbon monoxide going into the air. Each system that we install in an average house, we're eliminating about 19,000 pounds of carbon dioxide per year per ton. So a house like this with 10 tons, it's 190,000 pounds per year over a 30-year life cycle. So that's a lot of carbon that we've taken out of the air.
And when I realized that geothermal could not only cut my heating costs, but also my air conditioning costs and my hot water costs, it seemed like a pretty good investment, even though it was what some would consider expensive.
So what we do is we put piping in the ground, which we call the Geo Exchange, and we transfer thermal energy. The ground is normally around 53 degrees here in Jersey, so we're bringing 53 degrees into the house, into one of our units. It goes into a compressor, it's compressed, and as it comes out hotter, okay? So we can go anywhere from 70 degrees to 105 degrees, depending on what the thermostat and the computer in the unit tells it to do, so that you maintain that comfort level all the time.
So this is one of those really cool touchscreen thermostats, but the coolest thing about it, especially with the Geo system, is I don't have to touch it.
You're not burning anything to create anything. You're moving thermal energy. That's all you're doing.
You just set it and leave it alone, because it automatically adjusts. The airflow stays constant. You just tell it, I want it at 70 degrees, and it turns on and off when you need it to. And actually, you can set it so it's on auto. So in the fall or in the spring, when it gets hot and cold at times, you can tell the unit, just keep it at 70. When it gets too hot, it turns the air conditioning on. When it gets too cold, it turns the heat on.
Now, if you go to Germany, for instance, you cannot build a house unless it's geothermal. They are a lot farther down the line in Scandinavian countries, all through Europe, than we are. They have about a 25% penetration rate with geothermal on all their homes and buildings over there. They also do a lot of solar and wind compared to us. Now, let's just take geothermal in the United States. We're not even at 1/2 of 1%. And they're at 25%. So basically, the American consumer isn't learning what he should know about this, and the reason is because there's not a lot of education, a lot of publicity going on about it.
The thought of being totally energy independent was not my initial thought. I'm not sure that I ever will be. I mean, when I first started looking at solar, I thought you had batteries in your basement, and you were like Charlton Heston in Omega Man, with you were totally independent of the system, and you never had to deal with any utility again. As I found out later on, you were then connected to the grid, and when you generated more power than you used, it would go back to the grid as credit. So at night, when you didn't generate power because there's no sun, you would then pull from it.
What happens on a sunny day, on a sunny, cool day, the solar system is generating more electricity than what you're using in your home. All the electricity that it generates is first used by your home, and any excess electricity is then fed through the electric meter that spins backwards, or you get credit for, to the utility company. At night time, or on a rainy day or cloudy day, or in the winter months, what you're doing is you're buying back that excess electricity from the utility company. A solar panel is the simplest electronic device known to man. It's a diode, and it works when essentially sun shines on it. So the sun shining on a solar panel causes a photoelectric effect in it, where you have the sun's energy converted to DC electricity. You then have that flowing through wires into what we call a solar inverter unit that converts the DC electricity to AC electricity. AC electricity is what we use in our households and in our buildings. And that AC electricity feeds into your electrical panel or your distribution system at home, and then out through your utility meter, fed back to the utility company. It's relatively simple.
If I'm using less than I'm making, then I'm contributing green energy back to the grid and someone else gets to use it.
The concept is called net metering. Essentially, you have a net meter where you get credit real time for the electricity that you send back to the utility company, and then when you just need that electricity, you get billed for it. So over a year, a homeowner would average out, in most cases, 60% of the electricity that they would have bought from the utility company now through this net metering process is discounted out there of their electric bill.
There is a monetary thing to it, but it also is about control, and it's also about, really controlling your own destiny and being and living a life in, because not everybody can do it in a day, change their life and say, I'm doing something good for myself and my family. This took a couple of months, but it was pretty much an instantaneous, in the grand scheme of my life, an instantaneous change from being dependent on things that I don't control to controlling things that I depend on.